What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Guys. Where's the mic?
No Mike.
No mic again. He had some things come up, family issues, so he'll get another slide this week. But he did send his picks once more so that we can go over his picks on what he thought's going to happen this week. Interesting week last week, no?
It was. There's a lot of. I'm not sure if upsets would be the word for it, but heartbreak maybe, some heartbreak on our ends, and some players that are continuing to surprise and impress.
Yes. We could start with the Cowboys game.
Yeah.
It was a rout, man.
They came back. They came back with a vengeance. Definitely a like, hey, we're still in this. Don't count us out.
Yes. Their defense was. I think Mac Jones is still seeing their defense when he closes his eyes. That was a nightmare game for Mac. But as a Steelers fan who has a long history with the Patriots and some questionable calls and some tough games, I loved it. I love seeing every second of it.
Yeah, they definitely 38-3 was the final score, and nothing on the Patriots side was working. Let alone Mac Jones, because like you said, he was definitely struggling to the point where they took him out of the game. So
yeah, honestly, I think there's only probably one quarterback that might have had a worse experience last week, and that would have been Daniel Jones facing that Seattle defense.
Yeah.
But that was definitely Dallas coming back and flexing their muscle a little bit. Had that week to recover from the Diggs injury, no more injury hangover.
Yep.
They had that embarrassed loss, so I think that was a little extra motivation to come out and show the Patriots exactly what they were made of.
Yeah, just looking at kind of some of their stats, I mean, I think really what we're seeing is just a dominant defense here.
Yes.
I mean, the numbers for Dallas, I mean, they were good. Like, Dak had 261 and a touchdown, but I mean, their defense was really where they're leaning towards, and that's what they're going to ride on. Yes. I think we talked about this with the Steelers as well. We'll get into that, but it's like if their defense is clicking, then you better beware.
Yeah. We definitely brought that. I brought it up last week, and I think we all kind of agreed that the Steelers and the Cowboys are kind of built similar this year. Whereas if their defense and their star defender is not clicking, then they're not really in the game. They're not really in the game.
For sure.
Which can lead us right into the Steelers-Texans game, which was another rout, as in C.J. Stroud just tore apart that Steelers defense. He's going to be exciting to watch. Not when you're on the receiving end of it like I was this past week, but if he can keep going, man, he'll be fun to watch for a couple years here.
He's exciting. Obviously, went number 2 overall to Houston, a player that honestly I was a little bit skeptical of coming out of the big Ohio State when they had some skeptical first round, second round, third round quarterbacks coming out. Haven't done much. I mean, obviously Justin Fields is one of the quarterbacks coming out of there, but definitely wasn't expecting this. Top 5 in a lot of categories as a rookie, breaking a lot of records or holding records with some extremely impressive quarterbacks in the list. So honestly, it was impressive. Very good quality of a start, and we'll see. I mean, he's an exciting player.
Yeah, him, Stroud, Nico Collins, and I want to say his first name was Tony, but Dell, the other receiver. Dell.
Yes. What is his? It's not Tony, but yeah.
They were all cooking pretty good. They were all doing, and then I don't know what was going on with the Steelers defense that game. It was not strong. They could not stop the run, and I felt like it could have been 3rd and 99, and the Texans would have picked it up. Like, they just weren't stopping. T.J. Watt had like no pressure. Minka Fitzpatrick he had disappeared. There's nothing going on there. The Steelers' offense is probably one of the worst, if not the worst, offenses in the league because they are predictable.
Right.
Super predictable. You know what's going to happen. It's the same thing over and over again. And there's a lot of chatter about Matt Canada needing to be eliminated from the process.
I know there was a lot of chatter on our group chat of Matt Canada being eliminated for sure.
Yes.
Very much frustration coming on Sunday from our boy in gold and black.
Yes. The Steelers, I mean, they couldn't stop a run on defense, and then it's like I said, every 3rd down it seemed like it was a completion. They don't take shots downfield. I don't know what is going on with them. They're so predictable. Pickens wasn't really... There was like no factor of Pickens in that game. Freiermuth got hurt. Pickett got hurt. But honestly, Pickett wasn't playing that well before he got hurt. On that play that he did get hurt, it was a 4th and 1, and they lined up in shotgun. Why would you line up in shotgun? Unless you're trying to draw them off sides or you can do some kind of motion or something like that. Right. I get it. But they didn't. They legit called a play, and it did nothing but get Pickett hurt and turn the ball over. And if you go back and look at it, if he would have just dumped it off to Najee, we probably would have got the first down. Najee was open. He had to step on his defender, and he was close enough to the first down. He probably would have got a first down.
Offensive calling.
But there needs to be some changes. Two big things I think need to be changed. Matt Canada needs to go. And Patrick Peterson may not be the starting outside cornerback that they thought he was going to be when they signed him. I don't know why they're not putting in Joey Porter Jr. more. I think that was one of my other gripes in the group chat. Was that Patrick Peterson seems to be letting up everything, man. Everything. And Porter Jr., they're not playing him. They need to play him more.
Yeah, I mean, Pearson's not the young buck of old who was the Cardinals' top defender. I mean, obviously he's had some experience, and maybe it's time for him to move on, and maybe not move on, but at least, give up that starting role and be a key part of the defense, but in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. It's there. It was brought up to Tomlin. There's some changes need to be made, and he said, hell yeah, there's going to be changes made, and they shuffled guys around in the depth chart. That didn't really matter much. They kept Matt Canada. So, I heard there's pressure on from Art Rooney, the owner, might step in and release Canada. But also, the thing that's going on now, which hasn't happened, it's grown as we've gone on, but it hasn't, like this year, I feel like it's starting to switch quite a bit. There's a lot more blame and discussions over whether Mike Tomlin has lost touch with the game.
I mean, he's been there a long time. Maybe it's time for change in general. I mean, it's always good for change once in a while.
It's just that the Steelers are like, they don't ever change anything. Like, that's what they've been known about, is since Chuck Noll took over, they've only had 3 coaches in the history.
Yeah, which is nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I'd love to see longevity, but you got to be able to advance with the game. You can't stay stuck in these screen passes, and we are always in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 16. You're not going to win that way.
You wonder almost if they get an OC to come in, young guy, kind of the newer offense, kind of like a McDaniels kind of way of things, just kind of spreading the ball around, doing some quick movement, all that kind of stuff, with also Tomlin's experience and understanding of being that legendary coach and old school mentality, hard hitting. You wonder if the pair would help. I mean, I don't know. I would try that first over just getting rid of Tomlin.
Right. I'm not on the fire Tomlin chain. I think he's making some decisions that need to be looked at, but a very interesting thought was put out into the universe this week by Mr. Pat McAfee on his show, and it really got me thinking, and I was like, you know what? I don't hate that move, and it could be a nice shot for Pittsburgh to get some buzz going, to get something going. And Pat McAfee asked, what if they brought in Ben Roethlisberger as an offensive coordinator?
Oh, interesting.
He's been very vocal on his podcast about all sorts of teams, so he's staying in tune with the game, but especially the Steelers. He talks about the Steelers all the time. He knows the offense. He knows what kind of offense they run and what they need to do, and I think he's a name that would get Steelers fans excited again, and might take some of that pressure off of the bad decision-making Tomlin's making. And I think Ben would open it up and get Pickens involved more, and Pickett throwing downfield a little bit more. And I wasn't against it. I think it's actually a very interesting idea to see if Ben would come in and be an offensive coordinator.
All right, let's talk different name. A little bit out there, Antonio Brown.
No.
I think with everything going on, he might be able to. No.
No, I saw a meme about that. Steelers' new offensive coordinator, and it had a picture of Antonio Brown, and I was like, oh, geez. Here goes the internet again.
That's funny. But I think, honestly, it would be an interesting thought. You wonder, sometimes these players that become coaches, obviously, we looked at, like, Jeff Saturday when he was last year for the Colts, and it was just kind of, like, terrible, to be completely honest. But, I mean, why not try it, right?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is like, you think about, like, Mike Singletary didn't do great. Vrabel's doing pretty good, but he has his up and downs.
Right.
But the ones that actually seem to be doing pretty good with a transition are the ones who aren't like the star players.
Right.
Because they're on the sideline a little bit more. They see the game from a different perspective. They see how the coaches act and stuff. Dick LeBeau. I mean, Dick LeBeau's a great defensive coordinator, and for a long time, he was a Pro Bowl player.
Right.
So, but he wasn't very well known. I mean, I'm not a Pro Bowl player, but a pro player.
Right.
So.
That was the game. Yeah.
But
It'll be interesting. Obviously, they need to make changes.
They do. Something needs to change. We're sitting 2-2. It's not too bad, but this is a big week for us. We got the Ravens coming in. So they need to turn stuff around quick. It's not taken lightly. Ravens week in Pittsburgh.
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking of our third team, my team that we talk about is the Packers, man. It was a tough game. It's funny. I didn't watch the beginning of the game. Unfortunately, I was at work. Came back. It was like a half an hour, and they were up 24 to, I think it was 3 or something like that. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I have one thing to say. The Packers are 100% right now a second quarter or second half team. 100%. They seem to go into these slumps where they get behind. Week before, they were down 17-0. They ended up coming back 18-17, won it on, luck and a lot of, a lot of good, obviously, play call, different things like that. However, the Lions, I feel like, are a little bit better than some of the competition that they had before, and I think this is where, when you're behind against a team like that, you can try to make a push. However, you're not going to be able to make that push to the extent to try to get the win. And they didn't. They lost. And it's tough. It's tough. It's a hard situation when, watching your team struggle in different scenarios. We did in the third quarter have, like I said, that push. And I thought there was going to be a little bit of hope. And they had a couple drives. Got some touchdowns, and then ended up not making it to the end there. And then it kind of they ended up scoring again, and it looked worse than it did. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So this game was only a week ago, but I feel like it was last year already.
Seriously, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, I feel like this game happened so long ago. Like, I can't even really remember the points that I was gonna hit. I think the Green Bay, like you're saying, they're a second half team, definitely. I think once they put like a full game together, I think they could be up there with the top teams. Look, they could play with anybody if they could put a full game together. But the other thing is that I think the Lions are making steps that they need to make. This was the progression we wanted to see when we talked about it at the end of last year. That we thought, because when we were doing predictions last year, all of us said we thought the Lions are right about the hump, see if they can get over it and whatnot. And I think this is the stuff that they need to be able to do to take those steps forward and to get up into the elite teams again and become a serious contender and not a pretender.
Yeah, I think the Lions are showing a lot of grit. I think Montgomery coming back really helped them. He had over 100 yards. Packers didn't play really good defense against the run. They have a better defense than they showed that game, and I think you have that. It's a rivalry. So teams normally play better against the teams that they know. So it's just corrections we need to make. First half, kind of get a little bit quicker at it. Jordan Love has looked decent. However, he is throwing some balls that are a little bit questionable as well. So a stat that I saw was he had the highest percentage of uncatchable balls in the NFL. So that needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
As good as he's been, he needs to slow the game down a little bit. It's his first year basically starting off, right? So
yeah, he's still basically a rookie.
Right. I mean, if you're looking at the rookies, he's playing pretty good compared to the rest of them besides Stroud, right? Like, so, I mean, you can't really downplay that. So we'll see. This week's going to be one of those weeks again. It's kind of, we're 2-2. We need to step up. Playing Monday night against a team that's not so great, so we're hoping to make a statement.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Sorry, it's some excitement going on. Right now we got the Bears-Commanders game on, and Justin Fields just drove down to like the 1 yard line. So it's playing good. But
we're off to a good start.
Yeah, they are off to a good start, which leads me into a good start. Starting 3-0, dropping a 70 bomb on people. The Dolphins were off to a great start. And then they ran into what we know as the Bills. And the game started off great. Like, I thought for sure this was gonna be a who has the ball last type of game. But then the Bills just kind of started flexing their muscle. I didn't see it, but I heard at one point Waddle and Hill were out of the game.
Yeah, they got dinged up a little bit. The Bills, man, they played really, really good against the Dolphins. Dolphins couldn't get much going. Like, offensively, they just were struggling compared to what they normally do. They ran the ball really well. However, they didn't run it enough. I think it was under Achan had over 100 yards, but I think it was 10 attempts. How do you get a player that's putting up those kind of numbers and you're not trying to run with them?
Right.
So I think that was their issue. They were getting a lot of pressure. Coming in 3-0, kind of similar to what we talked about, a team that's hyped up, and then you got a rival.
Kind of was a smack in the mouth too. Yeah, the Bills wanted to prove something, so they were playing hard. A lot of people.
Josh Allen think that.
Yeah, a lot of people I was working with were very excited that the Bills won this game. It was still a good game. It was just, like I said, especially when it first came out, and I was like, boom, score. I was like, oh man, this is going to be a shootout, and this is going to go down to the wire. Who has the ball last? There's going to be another overtime rule change because somebody got screwed, and they shouldn't get screwed. And then as the game went on, the Bills just started to take away and go with it. Tua's still playing at a high level, though. You still hear a lot of MVP talks about Tua.
He had some questionable throws. He had an interception that was just like right down the middle to a guy. I mean, you're going to have those, right? You're going to have those breakdowns. He definitely didn't look as good as he normally was, and I think that was really where, like when Tua's playing good, Dolphins are playing good.
Yeah. And their team's based on speed, so you get someone like Waddle and Tyreek dinged up and not being able to run the way they usually can. Your game plan's kind of shot in the foot there.
Yeah, I think, and there was one play that was like ridiculous. Diggs got I don't even know what, like an out pass, and there was two defenders on him, and they couldn't tackle him, and he ran for a touchdown, like a 60-yard touchdown. I forgot how far it was, but it was ridiculous. It was like sloppy play from the Dolphins that, plays that could have been taken care of that weren't, and then those were the plays that really caused them to to lose this game, really. Right, and Diggs gave him a
fit all game, right? Didn't he end up with like 100 and some odd yards and like 3 touchdowns?
He did, yeah. He let's see what his stats were. He played a really good game. He had 120 yards and 3 touchdowns, and his long was 55. That 55-yard.
Yeah, so I mean,
play there.
It's tough for anybody when the Bills start clicking. But I don't think James Cook had a very good game for them, did he? He didn't have much at all.
Cook, I don't think they ran. Let's see what he had. He had 12 for 29 on the ground. He had a touchdown that saved him for like fantasy purposes, and then he had 1 reception for 48 yards. So I mean, obviously he broke out for that one. But as far as running the ball went, he definitely wasn't. I mean, when you're getting 2 yards a clip, I mean, you're not. It doesn't look like you're doing too well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously these are the two teams in the North that we were definitely keeping an eye on, specifically after Rodgers went out, and this rivalry is going to be good. Yeah. So.
And by North, you meant East.
I'm sorry, East. That's what I meant. Yeah, because you guys are in the North.
Yeah, which go figure. So. But yeah, like I said, it was good. That'll be they play again, so the Dolphins have another chance to have a revenge game against them for this one.
Yeah, and I mean home field advantage for the Bills. I mean it's the Bills Mafia, man. They're one of the most exciting teams.
Yeah. So which brings us to the other game we are going to talk about. I said last week when we were picking games that I thought Arizona would stay competitive with 49ers and it would be a close game. So I wanted to go over the 49ers-Arizona game, which when we first started watching it, right, it was like, oh man, I was wrong. I was so wrong. They're going to blow these doors off this. This is going to be ugly. But then in the middle, Arizona made a comeback. They had some good drives. They started scoring points. They started stopping the 49ers, and I was like, oh, wow, maybe this will be a close game. Maybe I will look like I know what I'm talking about. Then the fourth quarter happened, and I came to the determination that the 49ers were just messing with Arizona. I feel like Christian McCaffrey probably could have scored another 2 or 3 touchdowns if he really wanted to. I think that offense could have scored whenever they wanted to. Like, legitimately, they let up in the middle of the game. And then they're like, oh, man, we should probably start playing again. And, like, they made it look so easy to go down and score. It is ridiculous. And I think if everybody stays healthy, we could quite possibly be looking at the Super Bowl champions right there.
I'm right there with you. Last week, I definitely was on the side of the 49ers and crushing these guys. Obviously, 35-16, they didn't crush them by means, but it, like you said, it was not like they could have crushed them. Like, they definitely let up. Christian McCaffrey had, I can't see, 106 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then also 71 yards on the receiving end. So, I mean, like, the guy, I tell you what.
He's the cheat code this year.
Last year, he came halfway through the season, right? Has had some injuries, now knows the playbook. The guy is ridiculous. The best running back, hands down, in the league. Like, unbelievable. On this team, it's almost unfair to have him on a team like this.
Right. He's like he's the human cheat code this year. Now, the thing that blew my mind at this game was, like you said, he got traded there halfway through last year. He had an injury where he sat out a few games last year.
Yep.
So he's technically really only been there for one season. When you look at the amount of time he's been there, it's really been the length of about one season. And he's already tying records with Jerry Rice while he's there. 13 consecutive games scoring a touchdown for them.
Crazy.
He's tied Jerry Rice's record. And next week, I would not be surprised to see the Cowboys. He's going to break it. He's going to go to 14.
He's
14 consecutive games. He's just ridiculous, man. Like, McCaffrey is disgusting. And
he's a monster.
I think he's really enjoying playing out west. That he went to Stanford. It was out there. You know, like he played well for Carolina, but he always seemed to be hurt. And he didn't have the weapons around him like he does in San Fran, which just elevates his game so much more when the pressure can be taken off of him with a Deebo Samuel or a Brandon Ayuk or a George Kittle. And then that defense is just, it's tough, man.
They're nasty.
It's tough.
They're probably the most well-rounded team, and it's winning football. You have the head coach who's an incredible head coach, all the way down to their kickers. I mean, like, the team is like...
It's just, I
don't know.
It's built, man. Like, they know their scouting staff needs to be applauded for finding some of these guys that they've found. Fred Warner's probably the best middle linebacker in the game right now.
Yep.
Like, he's growing.
Who's
that their safety there that kind of he reminds me of Troy Polamalu.
Troy Polamalu, yes. I cannot pronounce his name, but he's incredible. He's all over the field.
Yeah, just legitimately reminds me of, right down to his hair flowing out of the back of his helmet and everything, you know. Did you see him and James Conner getting into it at the end of the game?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Do you know what happened?
No, I don't. I wish we could find out what happened there, but something was said to somebody, and Conner reached out and choked him.
Yeah, it's weird because Conner doesn't seem like that kind of player. So
yeah, I don't know.
You kind of wonder.
Yeah, so something had to been said that wasn't very kind.
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could have been gameplay.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Obviously, they had a lot of trash talking to be able to say so.
Yes, yeah, and the Niners, like I said, they literally looked to me like they were just toying with them. They were like, oh, yeah, okay, time to start scoring again. Boom, 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 and like, I don't know, it's
they haven't lost a game, right? They're part of the
Philly and San Fran are undefeated still.
So just those two teams.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah,
so. Because there's only 3 last week. Right, and then the Dolphins lost, and
Dolphins
Philly
lost,
and San Fran won.
It's gonna be tough not to look at this team and be like, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Like, really, it's tough. I mean, the NFC we were talking about. I was on Instagram looking at all the quarterbacks, and it's crazy how minimal the star power is in the NFC.
It really is.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, look at, legitimately speaking, the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFC are most likely Jalen Hurts.
Number 1.
Number 1, Jalen Hurts. Yep. Number 2 is probably this year Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
And 3 would probably either be Dak or Baker this year.
Yeah, I mean, because Geno's not doing it.
Yeah. But even so, even Geno's in that conversation. Like, they're not the names you think. Yeah. Well, Cousins, I don't think, has been playing very well at all this year, right? Fields has been playing bad. Like, they're just, there's not a lot of strength, and I think it'll be interesting to see the Niners and Philly the rest of the year. I don't know that Philly can withstand the season the way I think the 49ers can.
Yeah, they have a lot of depth, and their defense is good. They still are. It's weird their offense is kind of interesting, but
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So going with the interesting fact, why don't we do your biggest surprise of the week? What do you think your biggest surprise this week was?
I might go with. All right, so this is going to be a surprise, but it's not going to be a win.
Okay.
I don't know if you can.
You're probably going where I was thinking too.
Okay, so I'm going with the Jets, and what I have to say is if Wilson can play the way he did, which is just doing enough, then we're looking at a team that could possibly make some sort of noise.
Yes. So I was going to go there. I'll think of something else in a minute for my other surprise. But with that being said, this was the first game, collegiate and pros, where the opposing quarterback has outplayed Mahomes.
Yep.
And that's nuts that it was Zach Wilson. The Jets defense was playing out of this world against them. And I really hate that defensive pass interference or holding or whatever it was on Sauce Gardner at the end of the game set it up the way it did. I'm not saying the Chiefs wouldn't have gotten there anyways. Right? You know, there's still whatever. Chiefs most likely would have come out and did something, and even if it went into overtime or whatever. But the fact that call set them up to get the game-winning field goal, it's just heartbreaking for that defense because they played out of their minds against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and I think the Jets defense deserved to win that game, but it just didn't happen for them.
Right. I think they played very well against Kelsey.
Yeah.
They had a scheme against him. He didn't have. I'm interested to see what his stats were, but he definitely didn't come out as obviously his normal self, and they got the job done. They scored 23 points. It's not like they got, it was crazy, but I think the part that, let's look at Kelsey's and then so he had 6 for 60. So, I mean, that's not terrible. It's not like they shut him out, but obviously didn't get the touchdown. Could have got better, but the surprise was more of how poised Wilson looked and getting some certain plays out there and making some passes, making some throws. That corner touchdown that he threw to the tight end there, I'm trying to think of what the tight end's name was, but I mean that was a dime, like perfect back shoulder throw in the end zone for a touchdown.
Was that Conklin?
No, I think
Conklin's the one that dropped it in the end zone when the diving catch. Because there were a few plays that were like, the Jets were so close and they just didn't go their way on that one. Was it Uzomah?
Yes,
yeah.
CJ. It was a perfect throw, and then on top of that, the Chiefs' defense has been playing incredible. So, I mean, to go in and play like that, I just I feel like for Jets fans that was a little bit of a like, okay, obviously everybody was like hitting the panic button with Wilson and being like, he needs to go.
Yeah.
We were talking about it, like he needs to go. They need to figure out something. The way he played, and he looked confident.
Yep.
Where they can be in some of these games.
Yeah, I wonder if Rodgers has been working with him, like one-on-one and stuff, because either that or it's just he just played a hell of a game, and the Jets defense, not that they contained Kelsey, which because they did good against Kelsey, but the pressure that they put on Mahomes and forcing the turnovers on Mahomes was huge for them. But since you already went with the Jets, I think I'll go with I don't remember who they played, but yet another loss for the Bengals.
Yes, that was actually the other one, the Titans.
They played the Titans, right?
7-3.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like they just lost to them. Like, they got pounded on by the Titans. Now, don't get me wrong, the Titans are a good team. I would say they're a good team. I don't think they're a great team, and I definitely don't think they're a 27-3 over the Bengals team. But my goodness, what is going on in Cincy right now?
Dude, red button hit alert, like Joe Burrow, what the frick is going on?
Yeah, what is going on? This is insane. I think it may be time to try to blow that up a little bit. Not necessarily, like the three I would keep no matter what would be Burrow, Chase, and Mixon. But I think Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, you got to see what's out there for these guys right now. Their defense,
that's scary.
Yeah, their defense is definitely missing Jesse Bates big time.
Yep.
It's just I would be full out panic mode if I was in Cincinnati right now.
I mean, to lose 27-3 against a team like we talked about, that's not anywhere near the top in the AFC. Like, if this was the Chiefs, I would be like, okay. Yeah. Like, as terrible of a loss, that I would still be like, that's a bad loss.
Yeah.
But we're talking the Titans. Like,
right. Like, they were trying to call Arrowhead Burrowhead because they were playing at such a high level and he was winning in Kansas City. And now, this year, I can't even tell you what the biggest difference is from last year to this year, but it's just not working in Cincinnati.
I haven't watched the game. I don't know what's going on. I wonder if Joey Boy is there's something underlining situation going on with him, because it feels weird how it's so bad.
Yeah, and based off of fantasy numbers, none of them are doing good. So I don't know what's going on.
Definitely a shocker. Probably the biggest shocker of the NFL, I would say, right now.
Yeah, really that. Well, and to me, the Vikings being in the same boat that the Bengals are, and I'm kind of surprised. I knew you're probably not. You don't like them, so you like seeing it like that, but I'm still kind of surprised.
True. I mean, it is a surprise. It's a good surprise.
Yeah. But, so what's your biggest disappointment over the weekend?
That we'll go right into it. Is the Panthers not coming up? When I first was watching this game or looking into it, they were up 7-0 in the first drive. I don't know if it was the first drive or what it was. And then they at halftime it ended up being 13-7, Carolina.
Yeah. And
I was like, we could pull this off, Carolina. We could do it together.
Yeah.
And it ended up being 21-13? 21-13.
Yeah.
And the better team won, and Thielen didn't get his revenge game. It was one of those things where, obviously the Vikings needed to get a win.
Yes.
However, what I will tell you is that I do not want them to go like 2-14 or 15 or whatever it is, because the last thing I want is for the Vikings to lose it out and then get Caleb Williams and then end up being this dynasty for the next 10 years. That would be, between him and Jefferson, like,
That'll be
the most
and
clutch.
Addison.
What's that?
And Addison, Jefferson, Addison, and Williams together?
Yeah, like, forget about it. Like, it would be ridiculous. So I was thinking about that. I'm like, maybe I should start giving them a couple more wins. You know?
Yeah, give them middle of the pack, right? Miss the playoffs, but not top 10 pick.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 and whatever it is, 11, whatever it is, but 7 and 10.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a personal feeling of disappointment that I would have loved to see them go 0-4 and really for them to hit the panic button, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think that would, besides the Dolphins, I think was also another disappointing. I feel like they could have really showed their dominance, and that didn't work out. But yeah.
Okay, well, for me, it'll probably be no surprise where my disappointment came this weekend. It's not the fact that the Steelers lost to the Texans, which everybody, well, except for you two because you picked them, but most people thought this was a game the Steelers would win and should win. It's the fact that they got destroyed.
Right.
They lost to the Niners 30-7, and now to the Texans 30-6. Right, those are our two losses.
Well, just say almost worse, technically.
It is a worse loss. They scored more points on the Niners, and they couldn't score a touchdown against the Texans. Their offense is lackluster. It's predictable. It is short. Like, there is just nothing there. And then Matt Canada, I know I talked about him earlier needing to be fired and let go and everything, and I forgot to bring this up then, so I'm going to bring it up now in my disappointment. That Matt Canada came out in a quote and said, "We are not built to come back on people."
Which is crazy.
How do you have a job as an offensive coordinator if you're telling me that your scheme and your players are not built to come from behind? There's no team, well, maybe the 49ers, there's really no team that can come out and be like, we will never be behind.
It shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're naturally going to have to come and win it.
You need to have plays in your playbook and personnel that if they go up 10 points on you, it's not a, oh shit, we're done. Like,
right. Sorry, we're behind.
Yeah, oh, okay, well, we can get this. Especially with a defense like the Steelers have where they can stop people.
Right.
You should be in a fighting chance. You should never be at a point where your coach is saying, well, we're not built to come back from a big lead or a big deficit. And I think that is my biggest disappointment, is the way the Steelers played on third down, the way their defense gave up stuff, the way our offense was always in a third and long situation. I mean, the first couple drives was like a punt, an interception, a punt, and they're all like 3 and outs too. It's not like a drive that lasts long, which could be what leads to our defense playing as badly as they have, is because they're on the field 90% of the game. So the Steelers were by far the biggest disappointment for me this week.
So taking it out, because I didn't get to watch this game, were you impressed with the Texans at all, or were you more like, obviously I feel like you were more disappointed in the Steelers as a Steelers fan, but were you at all impressed with?
Right. So going into the game, I didn't know much about the Texans. I knew they had Stroud as a rookie as a quarterback, and I was like, dude, TJ Watt's gonna feast on a rookie. I knew they had hurt. Yeah, I knew they had hurt linemen. Like two of their left side of the line was hurt or something like that, or the right side, I don't know which one. But I was like, oh sweet, that's another plus for our edge rushers. And I knew they had Dameon Pierce. So I was like, okay, if we focus on the run game, and with their hurt linemen and our edge rushers, This should be a feast. Like, this should be a nightmare for C.J. Stroud. Their line played great. Stroud played awesome. He was he was cool, calm, collected almost all game. Their young receivers stepped up huge. Nico Collins was destroying the Steelers secondary. And then when he didn't do it, Dell was right there to pick up the pieces. And Pierce was breaking off huge chunks of running that he hadn't had all year. But for some reason, the Steelers' run defense is just lackluster this year. They can't do anything about it.
Well, you don't have Hayward, right?
Yeah, but they're still. I mean, they shouldn't be giving up the chunks that they're giving up. So going into the game, I was like, it's just the Texans. But coming out of the game, I was like, dude, they're actually not bad of a team. So they gained a bunch of respect from me.
Right.
But yeah,
how was their defense?
It was good. They did decent. I don't know. I don't remember many turnovers. I don't even know if there was turnovers in the game, to be honest with you.
Right.
I think it was a cleanly played game. It just the Texans' offense was going downfield, and the Steelers' offense was going 10, maybe 15 yards and punting.
Right.
And they got held to 2 field goals. So the Texans had to have been doing something good on defense. Will Anderson had a huge play. That I think got called back for some penalty, but it would have been a turnover, a strip sack or something, or a scoop and score, something along those lines, and it got called back. It was a scoop and score because Jaylen Warren fumbled, and Will Anderson, their number 3 overall pick, scooped it up and took it back for a touchdown, but he got ruled down he was down before he fumbled the ball.
Oh, right. That sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks for him.
Yeah, it sucks for Will Anderson. But I mean, they're young and they're good, and they're going to have some growing pains and they're going to have some bumps in the road here coming up. But if they can keep this core together and working the way they are, they'll be good.
I mean, a rookie head coach, a rookie quarterback, and a young team in general, very impressive for where they're at right now. So, hats off to them.
Their GM did a smart move by getting DeMeco Ryans. He was a fan favorite from there to begin with because he played middle linebacker for them for years. So he's a fan favorite there to begin with. But they also plucked him off of a strong team
Niners.
with a good took him from the Niners. So it was a good move and it's working out well for him. And I would not be disappointed if they won the South.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a team that's young and exciting. So,
and plus they had the extra boost of motivation that they were putting J.J. Watt into the Ring of Honor for that game.
Right.
So that little boost. But
right.
And then we'll just run down real quick if I can, because I don't have the list up next to me, but I have our pick'ems. So the Lions won, the Texans won, the Jags won, the Bills won, the Broncos won. Go figure.
Come back. It was crazy.
Yeah, somebody had to win that game, so kudos to the Broncos. The Ravens, the Titans, the Rams, the Bucks, the Eagles, the Vikings, Chargers, Cowboys, Niners, Chiefs, and Seahawks rounded out, which will roll right into our pick'ems. So last week, we had some ground we have to make up on you.
You did.
Mike and I performed very well this week. Our best week so far. However, I tied you, so I gained no ground on you. And Mike had one game picked better than us. So he gained one game on you. You and I both went 11-5, and Mike went 12-4.
Wow, congrats, Mike.
Yes.
12-4, that's impressive.
That is very good. He needs to string a few of those together and hope that you just have total brain farts and just don't know what you're doing so we can catch up. But it's going well. Which can bring us into our pick'ems now for this week. Like I said, Mike is not here, but he sent us his picks. Right now, we'll go with the game that is currently on the TV. There's about 12 minutes in the third quarter. The Bears are up 27-11 on the Commanders. I actually had the Bears picked, and this was one of those games that Mike said was a Raiders game for him last year, almost every week, where he said, "This is the last time I'm picking whoever." That is me this week with the Bears. This was going to be the last time I rolled with Fields. If he lost this game, I don't think I can roll him anymore. So I'm going to stay with the Bears for this week. Mike went Commanders.
Commander up. I can't now, but I can't go back on that.
Yeah. So, which brings us next. Our game is the next London game with the Bills and the Jaguars. Mike and I both went with the Bills. I assume this will most likely be a clean sweep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to clean sweep this one.
Yeah. I think it could be a good game, though.
I was informed that the Jags are actually only 5-5. They're 500 in London. I thought for some reason they were better.
Me too.
I could be wrong. On this, but that was from our boy Tommy that told me they were 5-5. So I would assume that a Jags fan would know that.
Yeah. Well, we don't know much that Tommy knows, so. Which brings us to our 1:00 games, and it's a big week in Pittsburgh. I talked about it earlier. This is a get right game. If the offense doesn't figure it out, and if the defense plays off like they did last week, this could be another rout. But I'm gonna place my chips with my boys. It's in my opinion, the biggest rivalry in the NFL. Ravens at Steelers, and I'm gonna roll with the Steelers on this one. No surprise here. Mike went with the Ravens, which I expect a double up on the Ravens here.
I mean, I gotta do it. It's a tough situation for you, and I hope that as a friend of yours that your Steelers should come out victorious. But we'll see.
Yeah,
it's going to be an uphill battle for you guys.
It is. We need Najee to run north and south, not east and west. That'll help a lot. That'll help a lot. And T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith need to have a big game on Lamar.
I'm looking forward to watching this game. It'll be a good game for sure.
Definitely. And our next game is the Texans at the Falcons. Mike and I both went with the Texans. Again, they're earning respect, especially out of my part for what I saw last week. If they can keep that same momentum going, I think they'll be all right. And I just don't think the Falcons are there. So I think the Texans they got this one. And Mike as well went with the Texans.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the train there. We'll see. I think it might be closer than we expect, but I think Stroud will have another good game.
Okay. Which brings us to the Panthers at the Lions. Dude, the Lions are looking really good. The Panthers are struggling. Mike and myself both went with the Lions.
I am wearing a Panthers jersey. However, it's Luke Kuechly and star player, a retired star player. That being said, I'm not going to go with the Panthers. I'm going with the Lions.
Okay. That brings us to our next game, the Titans at the Colts. Now, this one I thought about for a while, all right, because I'm not confident on either team. The Titans played well against the Bengals, but was that the Titans playing well, or was that the Bengals playing down? And although I wasn't high on the Anthony Richardson hype train coming out of college, I think he's done well for them. And Jonathan Taylor is available to play. Now, whether he will or not, I don't know. But he has been activated, so he's available to play. So it'll be interesting what they're going to do there. Mike went with the Titans based off of fantasy facts alone and the fact that I have Derrick Henry. I am going to go with him and hope for a big game out of Henry. So we are both rolling with the Titans.
This is where we're going to differ because I'm going with Colts. I think Richardson is looking good. I think their team coming back with Taylor, who will play because he's on my fantasy team. So I think we'll have a good game. Either way, division game.
Yes. And I mean, that one's honestly, we could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The next game, I don't think we can go either way. I'm pretty sure this is get back, get right game, whatever you want to say. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins put up another 70-point whooping. It's the Dolphins and the Giants. Mike and myself are both on the Dolphins train for this one.
Yeah, Mom, I'm sorry. I can't lose this. It would be silly of me to do that. However, in the Shepherd household, which is my brother-in-law, my sister, and my mother, it's going to be an interesting Sunday because there's going to be a clash of the Titans in that household, and I am not looking forward to being a part of it. So my heart goes with my mom because, it's 1 against 2, and I'm always going to root for my mom. But it's gonna be a tough game.
Sorry, Karen. It's not the Giants of last year.
Yeah,
not the Giants of last year. Which brings us to our next game. Mike and I have split this game. It's the Saints at the Pats. Mike has decided to roll with the Pats on this one, even though he has the Saints at 12-5. I'm going to bring that up as much as I possibly can. I'm going to go with the Saints. I think Alvin Kamara gets even more involved in this game. He didn't have a ton of yardage last game, but he had 13 catches, which just means he's building chemistry with Carr. And I think the Saints will come out and beat the Pats. I think Mac Jones is most likely rattled. It'll be interesting to see what happens after being pulled last game. And I think he's on a short leash, and I don't know that Belichick's too thrilled with Mac Jones right now. So I'm going to go with the Saints.
And where's this at?
New England.
All right, so I think home field advantage, being manhandled by 30, whatever points it was. And I'm going to go with the Patriots because I think that's something that they want to prove. And I don't think Belichick can he needs to get a little back the reins. So.
Okay. All right. Which brings us to our 4 o'clock games. The first one is the Eagles versus the Rams. I think this is a grinded out victory for the Eagles. I think they stay undefeated, but I don't think it's as easy as I originally thought when looking at the preseason schedules. I think they're going to have to buckle down and kind of grind this one out. Mike also went with the Eagles, even though he says he hates them. I feel like he picks them all the time. I think he's a closeted Eagle fan. So we're on both doing the Eagles.
I'm going to go Rams.
Okay.
I know it's a bold prediction, but the Rams have looked good. The Eagles have not looked like they did last year. So we'll see.
I hear you.
Upset.
Okay. I like it. The next 4 o'clock game is the Bengals versus the Cardinals.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So Mike has gone with the Bengals. I think he thinks this is going to be a get-right game for the Bengals. I think he thinks Burrow and Jamar Chase will turn it around against the Cardinals. However, I'm going to tell you, not so fast, my friend. The Cardinals have played well the last few games. They beat the Cowboys. They played the 49ers real tough, made it competitive for a while. They should have beat the Giants. I don't know what happened there. They're a sneaky team. I think they could actually be pretty good. And I just think the Bengals are just bad. So I'm going Cardinals on this game.
This is tough. This is a tough situation. I'm leaning towards Mike's prediction, where I feel like there's got to be a win somewhere in there, and I think there's a lot of panic going on. I think they get it right, so I'm going to go with the Bengals.
Okay. All right. For 30 games, Jets versus Broncos. And once again, Mike and I are split, which I'm surprised with. He's on the Broncos winning this game. I feel like the Jets' defense, if they can play Patrick Mahomes, the way they played him, they should be able to handle Russell Wilson that way. And I just don't think the Broncos are a good team at all. So I'm going with the Jets. Mike's going with the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on this. I think with the loss last week, I think it was a exciting moment for the Jets as far as like we can stay in it. Super Bowl champs. I think the Broncos are a bad team.
Yeah.
So I think Jets are going to win this. I really feel like they're going to get it done.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Then that brings us to our other 4:30 game: Kansas City versus the Vikings. Yeah, it's going KC. All three of us are going KC. The Vikings haven't played great this year, and I feel like KC's almost embarrassed by that they almost lost to the Jets. And I feel like the next game after KC gets embarrassed is never good for whoever they're playing.
You're 100% right on this, and this isn't just pure hatred.
No,
it's fully pure hatred. But I'm looking forward to it. Is all I'm saying.
Okay. Sunday night game. So Mike's going to stay with his boys. He's going to roll the Cowboys. He's got to. I understand. However, like I said, I think the 49ers are possibly the only team in the NFL who could say they're never going to be from behind. I feel like they can score at will. There's just too many weapons. They're disgusting. I'm going 49ers on this one. And it'll be interesting because I feel like this is the first actual challenge the Cowboys have faced. So it'll kind of be like a measuring stick for the Cowboys as to what they really are.
Yeah, I think it's going to be closer than we think. I think that the Cowboys, it's going to be one of those situations where the Cowboys play a decent game, but I don't see them winning this game in any sense. I think the 49ers are the better team, but it'll be interesting to see how the offense for the 49ers versus the Cowboys defense and see how Parsons can kind of come in and disrupt that. But it's going to be an exciting game. This is definitely probably the most exciting game besides Monday night. But
okay. All right, so which brings us to Monday night, which is the Packers versus the Raiders. Mike is going with the Raiders.
That's disgusting.
I feel like he must have a grudge against you or something. I don't know what's going on with this. He won't pick the Packers for some reason. But
I would have loved to hear why he did it. Maybe it's because he knew I was going to pick
the Niners.
The 49ers.
Yeah. Which, interestingly, looking at it, Mike picked against both of our teams.
Right, so I'm wondering.
Yeah, well, I mean, not being a Steelers fan, I probably would have went with the Ravens too, but being a Steelers fan, I'm going to have to do that. But I went with the Packers. I mean, yeah, it's a lock for you, Packers, right?
Yeah. The Raiders are not good.
No, and that's why I'm kind of surprised.
I'm very shocked.
The only thing is, and this is a stretch, and I don't know if this is where he's going with this or not, but I feel like the Raiders play well in prime time.
Okay. All right.
I could be wrong. I could just be wrong, but
it's weird to me. But I mean, the Packers aren't this incredible team. They're not the team that they were in the past. So It's not going to be like a slam dunk, easy layup game. I think it's going to be, they have to get those kind of little situations taken care of. But I don't think that this is going to be a game where the Raiders have a chance to win.
Yeah, and even though they're not elite, I still don't see the Packers losing back-to-back games, especially when that second game is the Raiders.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, so that's interesting. It does appear that I have a few games that I can jump up and catch up with you on. And it doesn't look like Mike's got a couple that he can try to gain more ground on you. But for the most part, you're pretty split between us. So
yeah, it's kind of interesting. You guys have been split in this, and I have to say I'm impressed with last week's picks. Going 12-5, and then 11 and or was it no
12-4, 11-5, 12-4, and 11-5.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Probably one of our best weeks as a group combined.
Yeah. Up until then, I think it was 9-7, 9-7, 11-5 was our best week up until last week. So, but it'll be another interesting game, another week. I have let the family know that we entered Ravens Week on Monday, and that they are not allowed to wear black and purple together this week at all. Very strict rule in this house. I'm sticking by it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I had considered banning purple altogether this week, but it is Ella's favorite color, so she's got a lot of purple stuff, so I let it go.
Right. It's understandable.
But hey, man, I done a good episode. We'll hopefully start getting these back in person, back with three of us.
Yep.
At this point, it seems like we're doing every other week like this, but it's okay. We're keeping up with it. We're still going, staying strong.
Yeah, we gotta just get those kinks and some of our scheduling worked out, and a lot of things going on in life right now. But football's back, and try to keep everybody in the loop and be around for it. So
definitely. So all right, well. That's one more week in the books for two guys. One mic.
No mic.
No mic.
Let's go.
Peace.